Okay, so
Amazing.
what are you taking us through next?
Oh my gosh, can we just quickly have a moment? I know we've been talking for a long time. I just want to have a moment for Rhode Island. It's a new season of Bravo Housewives. So it's the very first season of Rhode Island. We meet a cast of characters that are all they all live on Rhode Island. Most of them are extremely wealthy. Most of them look the same. It's a bit like when we first watched Salt Lake City, and I don't know if you felt the same, Soph, that like I couldn't tell the difference between Meredith and Lisa Barlow for a really long time.
Could not tell the difference. Could not tell the difference. Now I
Yeah.
look at them, I'm like, how could I not tell the difference? But absolutely, thought they were the same person.
Same. And now, like, when you look at them, like, they're so different looking, but it's the same with Rhode Island. They all have gorgeous dark hair. They all have similar makeup and tans. They're all stunning women. They all wear the most gaudy, ridiculous outfits. Their houses are gaudy and ridiculous. They're on this island. There's sun, surf, and sand. Seems a bit windy, though, we'll say that. And they're all getting together. Now, what I love about this show and what I love about the first season of any Real Housewives show is that you watch it and the first episode you're like, nah, she's my favorite. She's boring, not interested in this person, blah, 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 blah. And I remember my first episode, I was like, why is Alicia on this show? She brings nothing. And then now,
Oh,
full circle to the finale, the whole time I'm saying to Charlie, because yes, this is the one Housewives show that he's agreed to watch because we can start together from season one. And I'm
oh, that's nice.
which is so cute. And I'm just going, oh my God, Alicia. Alicia's so amazing. Oh, she's so funny. Oh, Charlie, I love Alicia. Oh my God, she's hilarious. She's frightened upstairs. Oh my God, did you hear that? She thought she was going to fall down the stairs. Oh my God, she's not even letting this man re-propose to her. Like, it just, it's so exciting when you get to see all these new characters come into
Brand
play.
new, fresh, fresh. And because, it's so Jersey coded, like family, everybody knows they all, have the same aesthetic, but Jersey just got so dark. And so having this as, a fresh start with a new group of people, I think that's been, it's been light, it's been fun.
Oh, the stakes are so low. And yet, actually, some of them are so high. And this is the interesting thing. Like, if
Mm.
you, like me, if you're on Trader Housewives of Beverly Hills, where they literally never talk about anything, they'll talk around something for 12 episodes and then kind of maybe get somewhere with it by the end, but not really. I mean, in this one, we've got, as you say, it's sort of New Jersey coded. I haven't watched New Jersey, but I've seen enough memes and stuff to understand that. And most of them are Italian. Ashley Iconetti from Bachelor Nation is on it with her husband Jared. She's Greek. And then we have Rula, who is Lebanese. And of course, I am Lebanese. So I'm like sitting here waiting to love Rula, waiting for Rula to come on this show. I'm wondering if she was meant to be a full-time cast member, but with everything that happened, she became more like a friend of because everyone from the very first episode was like, "Hey, Ruler, your husband Brian is cheating on you." They kept up the hammer on Ruler every episode. I mean, this is something that would be whispered in hushed tones on Beverly Hills for like 12 years before we ever got.
Yes,
But they
years and
literally
years.
sit Ruler down. They're like, "He's still
Boom.
cheating on you."
I know. And there's something so sus and off about this whole
Oof.
thing.
Oof.
Like, my take is I think she knew, she just didn't want it to be a storyline.
I agree.
Um,
I agree.
and I don't know how she got the full-time housewife, but I think it's because she refused to basically film most of it. So I think her and Sue Ellen, what's the not Sue
Joellen?
Ellen, Jo Ellen hadn't shot a scene together since basically the start. So the fact that they gave her full housewife, it's I think just because of this drama. Because she essentially didn't show up for majority of filming. Um,
No, and whenever she did, the cast hammered her. Like, all credit to Joellen, who, by the way, I think is so pretty. Like, her hair is so thick and luscious, and she looks less facially improved than maybe the other ladies, but she's also just really, really pretty.
yeah,
Um,
beautiful.
Beautiful, and she kept her foot on Ruler's neck. All I wanted from Ruler was to really explode, right? I was like, "Ruler, you are Lebanese. You're not gonna let these, like,
Yeah,
Italian
give
girls
him
speak
some
over you.
emotion.
What are you doing?" Never happened. But
Not let the team down.
let's run through the gals. Okay, we've got Liz, who runs a cannabis company and has the exact same, face as her best friend Dolores because they went to the exact same surgeon and did that on
Like,
purpose.
the exact same face. And so if you've been watching New Jersey, like, you know Dolores. So it's like, I know who Dolores is, and then I see Liz, and I'm like, "You have the same face." So if you didn't already know Dolores, like, I imagine, like, you wouldn't even be able to tell who was who in the scenes because yeah, exactly, and Liz openly says that. She's like, "I met Dolores, I asked her who her surgeon was, I went and got my face made into hers."
Which is crazy. And also Liz, who I thought maybe was fun at the start, is like a little bit like, I think there's some mafia talk about Liz. Like, I don't think we can piss Liz off, okay?
Mm-mm.
Mm-mm.
And I think the ladies know that because that fellow that she definitely wasn't having an affair with, even though she, like, screamed at Kelsey at the first episode for, like, saying his name, like, that guy is
Yeah.
yeah, there's all mafia like, a lot of mafia talk, like, stuff.
Yeah. So it's like, oh, it's so fascinating. And
Television.
then you've mentioned Kelsey. So Kelsey is this gorgeous ex beauty queen. She's been living in this insane mansion because she essentially has a what I would call a sugar daddy. Now she calls him her boyfriend. They'd been together for 11 years, but he has other women in other cities. So it's not a monogamous relationship by any means, but she's known about it from the start. My worry is like she was 19 when she went into that situation. She's now 30 years old and realizing that she wants to have a family and kids and a stable partnership. She has to leave this guy and like stand on her own, although of course he finances her into everything. So she's not really standing on her own. Um, she then has some beef with a local newscaster or ex-newscaster called Rosie, who, as I mentioned in episode 2, I have like a soft spot for these like bubbly, scrappy women that have worked hard. Rosie has a really sweet husband, and they seem to be very happy. Now, for some reason, Kelsey has an issue with Rosie and she cannot get over it. So, what is your take on the Kelsey Rosie situation, Sophie? I'm because I have obviously a firm take that Kelsey is being like a bit of a bullying mean girl for no reason. But what am I missing in this situation?
Okay, so my take is I'm actually glad you asked this. So my take is that I do think Kelsey's a little naive, but I imagine prior to them filming, so Rosie is one of the so Rosie and Ashley are the only ones that don't really fit in with this crew. Like they don't all know each other.
Yes.
And so what I imagine happened prior to filming is like the Liz and the Alicias of the world were talking smack about Rosie.
Ah,
And they're like, why is she been cast? Why is she been da 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 da? So when they come into filming, like those ladies aren't saying that in on camera, but
Kelsey.
Kelsey was. But also I think Kelsey thought she was gonna have transferred power, like social capital from Liz and the other ladies who are more established.
Yes.
So I think she thought, like, I'm gonna be able to like, make a little fun on Rosie and sort of like Rosie, there's gonna be a hierarchy and Rosie's gonna know that she's lower than me. And then obviously Rosie's coming in and be like, hell no.
Yeah.
Like, I've had a TV career, I've had this, that, and the other, like and so I think what it was a little power struggle between the 2 of them, and so that even when they made up and Kelsey showed up to the house with the blaring thing, I actually think
Oh.
I think she was just trying to make a joke, but I
Mm,
think Rosie was it is too soon to joke,
yeah.
and I'm gonna draw the line in the sand to show you that you do not sit above me in the hierarchy. Would you show up to Liz's house with a siren?
Yeah.
Because even though it
Yeah.
could have been funny, they were still battling it out, and Rosie is like, "I'm not gonna let this battle go until you know that I sit higher than you in the hierarchy." And I think Kelsey's getting that, which is, you know, you haven't had a lot of life experience. Like, I really like Kelsey, but it's like, what have you done?
Yeah.
Other than live in this big house for 11 years. Like, you're gonna have to show some grit yourself. I don't know, that is my own
Yeah.
personal take in my head.
No, that makes so much sense to me. I love that it's like a little bit like HR expertise coded too, because you're watching these people in essentially a workplace trying to find their spot. So I think
Yeah.
you've nailed that. And I do think Kelsey looks at Rosie as like, she can't bully Ashley because Ashley is like, is beloved from Bachelor Nation, which is an enormous audience, which has a huge
Mm,
amount of support. So she's not going to touch Ashley. So she's like, I'll go for Rosie. And like, Rosie is not going to cop that. And also, it looks like sour grapes. You picked a person and you're attacking them over things that you haven't demonstrated that you've been successful at. And like also I'm like young like honestly I'm like, hey, young girls, get together. Like I want to see the Kelsey, Rosie, Ashley trio take on these older, hilarious women and like bring it to them.
I also wanted that. So I wanted that young crew. I wanted the um, Ashley, Rosie, Kelsey to come together, which is why I truly think that the words that were coming out of Kelsey's mouth were Liz's words.
Yes.
And she will watch it back and be like, oh, geez, I played my hand wrong here. And hopefully, well, I don't know. We haven't even seen the reunion, so who knows?
But I think you're right. I think she was parroting Liz. You are totally right. And Liz wouldn't do that on camera. But it is Liz that had the problem with Rosie initially. You're right, because of some cheap bottle of wine or something, which is also such low stakes drama. God, I love Rhode Island.
Love it.
I love it. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. All right. So, everyone, if you're watching Rhode Island, you have to tell us what you think about all of that. And also, my last comment is that, Ashley, you need to do more. You really need to bring more.
Yes, but what did you call that person earlier? Like the Greek
Greek
chorus.
chorus?
Like she has been the Greek chorus, which I do think is an important role. But just like my favorite part has just been watching her like dying at the conflict. Like just like trying to like it's like that was Sunday lunch coded for me. It's like, you'll get better at it, honey, but yes, it is scary to begin with.
It is Sunday lunch coded, and is this why I'm enjoying it so much? 'Cause it's this bunch of Italians and Lebanese and Greeks getting together and eating and fighting, and I'm like, this feels so familial to me. I feel so at
Yeah,
home.
it is so good. Yes, and I'm so excited for the reunion, but I'm also nervous because they filmed all of this obviously prior to being famous, fresh faced. By the time they're at their reunion, they will have watched episodes. They will have had some awareness of what the public response to them has been. So it won't be as fresh, but I am fascinated to see where they've all sort of landed.
Yeah, me too.
Oh,
And
can I just say, sorry, I know we're going over. I did not like that proposal from Alicia's husband. It was so deeply awkward. Like I could talk about it for ages.
yeah.
But when he yanked the ring off her finger to like re-propose, I was like, buddy, if you screwed it up the first time and you're having to do it again, come with another ring. You need to have another piece of jewelry for that lady. Like this is not
Oh,
okay.
oh, it was not okay. And like you could tell she was feeling awkward because she was making a joke out of the whole thing, which was hilarious. But at one point, I'm like, oh no, let him propose now. This could actually be romantic. And then he yanked her existing engagement ring off her hand, which clearly not an engagement ring at this point. It was just a gift 9 years ago. So bring her a new engagement ring.
Yeah, it was anyway, I look forward to her gaining some power. And this show will give that to her, hopefully.
I hope so, because I worry about Alicia, like the dolls and the Britney Spears of it all, and just the childlike nature of her in the first half of the season. I actually said to Charlie, I'm like, something bad has happened to her. I don't know what it is. So I want her to find a voice. I want her to come into her own. She's clearly very comedic. I want to see more of that. And I want her to her husband is lucky to have her. Like, whatever
She
that
is more
situation
than lucky.
is, legally, financially, whatever's going on with Pizza Mama in Rhode Island, but she deserves to be secure. So he needs to do
And he
that.
doesn't wanna give that to her. This is why he's giving her a dodgy engagement with the same ring. He's like, "Let me placate you by re-giving you this ring because I'm not giving you Pizza Mama." But maybe I'm just cynical. Okay, let's move on. Pop culture. What has been distracting us in this past week, Jessie?
Okay, it's sort of pop culture. I follow this thread on Reddit called Long Form, and it's what it does is it collates long form journalistic articles
Sorry.
that are like properly well written, like that you used to find in Vanity Fair or you'd read in your New Yorker or whatever, but none of us have hard copy stuff anymore. So I like to follow this thread because it will give you all kinds of long form. It could be crime, it could be social justice stuff, whatever. I read this article and I'm so cranky about it. I keep thinking about it, but don't worry. After I tell you all, you'll all be cranky, but I have an antidote for you as well because I think it's important to come with a problem and a solution.
Come with a solution. Excellent, thank you.
um, so it's this article in the Atlantic Monthly called "The Men Who Want Women to Be Quiet," and which is such a fabulously incendiary headline. Of course, I had to read it. A lot of my books cover different shades of this theme. Um, Essentially, what it is, it's written by an American journalist called Helen Lewis, and she goes through all these figures in the American right who are influencers, policymakers, politicians, heads of like fringe churches that are becoming much less fringe, and she works through their their issues with women, because what she has noticed is you might have different, you might have your standard Republican, you might have your religious or theocratic Republican, you might have your far right fringe Republican that's like, this whole situation is bad, let's go back to frontier times, whatever. But the one thing she says they can all agree on and that unifies them all is the fact that women are a threat to them. And what that means in practice is they want to, it's basically the Project 2025 stuff. So all of these guys who are all fringe in different areas have all had something to do with Project 2025, which is a blueprint for how America should be, produced by this foundation called the Heritage Foundation. And it's part of what Trump is following, or Trump is following it. It's the reason why American women lost their right to safe abortions and terminations of pregnancy. So one of the things they did was overturn Roe versus Wade a few years ago, which was absolutely shocking. But the other things they're planning to do is remove no fault divorce, which is literally creating a situation for women to just be abused in their marriages because they would have to prove fault of the husband to allow them to divorce their husband. It's really fucked up, and like getting that in the first place was extremely important.
Mm.
They want to also remove women's right to vote. And a lot of these figures are proponents of household voting, which means
Oh my gosh.
head of the household, the man,
Yeah,
the vote.
one vote.
Also, that women shouldn't be in the workplace and the head of the household. So you will be paid a household salary. You'll get more the more children you have, and the man controls the money. Now, it is shocking, Soph. And the thing is, these ideas were fringed 5 to 10 years ago. They are now becoming more and more mainstream in America's political
Yes.
landscape and social fabric. It is terrifying. It's called The Men Who Want Women to Be Quiet. I will put the name of it in our show notes. I can't link it for you because you have to sign up to the Atlantic Monthly to get it, right? And you can
Mm.
sign up for a free trial and just read this and then cancel it if you want. Um, it's been on my mind because we have seen this type of thinking trying to come into Australia, and I just can't understand what is so wrong with sharing decision making, collaborating, sharing power. If you are such a strong masculine man as these men claim to be, why are you afraid of us? You're so afraid of women.
They are so afraid. And I think, you talk about it being fringe and moving into the mainstream, but like that, it comes back to the Danny and the Nia of it all because people didn't used to show that on telly.
That's
And
right.
now it's like, he is the head of the household and she accepts that. And that's quite a religious thing too, which is like at the end of the day, sure, we're loving and we have this equal marriage, but he is the head of the household and he is like our connection to God. And therefore, and so it is being shown more, and I
Yeah.
think it is, like, just, like, encroaching, like, on us through, social media with the trad wife piece and all this sort of romanticizing of this stuff that is actually really terrifying.
It's
Um,
terrifying. I mean, we've seen that huge book come out yesteryear. I haven't read it yet, on the trad wife thing, and I think it's quite critical of the trad wife thing. But it's the same thing, Sophie, you're right. It's this idea that women can be completely satisfied in the home, um, tending to their children, making their bread, and looking after the head of the household, which is the man. And yet, at no point in history were women ever happy with that. Ever. It is
no.
completely an American construct that they've made up, and it is a mess. And as
And
you
it's built
say, we're
on
seeing
nothing,
on
so it's like if you wanna live that way, by all means, the whole point is that we want to have choice, and this is this whole it comes back to the Make America Great Again. It's like, it was never great. Like, you want this 1950s life where the man comes home, he slips on his slippers and his wife is in the car. Like, that was, like, 10% of the population, and it was
yeah,
built off, like, slavery and
yeah,
servants and people who didn't live that life. And so it's these people and they're hoodwinking these people into going like, we're going to make America great and you're going to get to have this, we can live off one income. And it's like none of that ever actually
didn't
existed.
happen. No,
Can I ask you just
barely.
a quick question before we move on? So this 2025 plan and these things that they're saying, is this like published where people, or is it just presumed?
No, I believe Project 2025 is published. You can go to the Heritage Foundation and find it. And they've been very honest about what's in it because they wanted to overturn Roe v. Wade, was part of Project 2025. They want to curtail rights for LGBTQI+. They have started that with trans people, who are the most vulnerable people of any group of people, potentially, not to mention trans people of color, even more vulnerable. I mean, I know there was that thing in one of those states in America, forgive me, I can't remember the actual state, but they cancelled people's driver's license, trans people's driver's license, gave them like some ridiculous amount of short notice to get a new one, and wouldn't let them put their gender identity. It was so that they couldn't put their correct gender identity on there. So then suddenly, when you take that to its conclusion, everyone's like, oh, well, you just get a new license with your gender identity on there. No, well, actually, suddenly I'm without a license for weeks or more because you
Yeah,
cancelled it
I can't
overnight.
drive. I've got no
I can't
idea.
drive. I can't get to work. I can't get to the doctor. I have no access. I'm being arrested for driving without my license. It is diabolical. But yes, this Project 2025 is not presumed. It is there, and it is a playbook that they have been very open about the fact that they're following. So it's pretty scary. Now, I don't have an antidote to Project 2025 other than let's all get angry and refuse to let that happen here. Thank you, Australians. But what I do want to point out is there's a really great Instagram account. If you are scrolling Instagram and you feel like shit because your algorithm's all messed up, there's a woman, her what do you call it, handle is at Tatiana Writes, and I will pop that
Mhm.
into the show notes. And she is known as the nobody cares lady. I don't know if you've seen her. So basically
I
what,
don't think so.
and my husband found her and showed her to me, and we just thought this was great. So she will play like a 10-second clip of whatever male influencer is saying women want to be dominated, or um, women want men who are masculine, and then she'll just cut them off and go, nobody cares. So anyway, did you know? And she gives you like a fun fact. It could be scientific, it could be social, it could be anything, but she gives you something positive to learn. And just watching her, it's such a small thing, but watching her cut these idiots off and say, nobody cares. Now, let's talk about something that people actually are interested in. It is such a wonderful way of saying, what you're saying is not only stupid, but it is fringe and nobody cares. We don't want it. So,
I love it, and I think we can all fight back in different ways, right? So
yeah.
it's like it doesn't have to be one particular way, in terms of getting angry. Yeah, we can all make a difference in our way, and that is a beautiful way for someone to be making a difference.
So, Sophie, what are your pop culture distractions? What distracted you this week? Tell me.
I had a couple of distractions this week. Mine are far less serious than yours.
Good.
Um, but okay, so here's a question. Do you still have your formal dress?
Yes, I do.
You do? Okay, so I saw I'm very bit sad actually, but we'll see. I saw 2 different Brisbane sort of like fashion influencers or influencers this week share, or actually last week share their formal dresses,
Oh.
and they're of my era, and one of them, I swear it was my formal dress. And so for my formal dress, I wore like a dark red,
Mm.
two-piece. So nothing was showing, but it was like a big sort of full skirt and then a red top that was like a halter but buttoned down the back. Anyway, it was
Oh, it
so
was
beautiful, and
stunning. It was so beautiful. I loved
oh,
it.
you remember it? And so I was like, "Oh my gosh, let me go find my formal dress because I'm gonna take a photo. I'm gonna, like, reply to this influencer and be like, 'I have the same dress.'" Looked, can't find it. And I'm like, "I know." And I was like, "Did I throw it out in, like, one of my, like, cleaning rages?" And it's like, even my wedding dress I had, like, preserved and, air sucked out and put in one of those boxes and this whole like, I'm a keeper of these things anyway. And then it just made me think, and I was like, I don't know if you remember shopping for your formal dress, but then I thought of your formal dress, and I don't know if you remember that I was there.
I don't remember you, but oh my God, I remember. Were you there? No.
I was
Stop.
there. So, Jessie, when you and by the way, like, you were just the most glamorous with, this, like, mermaid black, like, just but what I remember is it was while mum was overseas and I was staying with you guys,
Yes.
and I got to come shop now, I could get it wrong, but was the store The Mask? Did you buy it from there?
Yes.
So I had never been into that part of the city before with all those fancy shops at the top where, like, Zimmerman and everywhere would be now,
Yeah.
but I remember going into this store and I remember nothing but the mask
Yes.
and you trying on that dress, and so I think it was your mum and I and you,
Yes.
and us just being like, Jessie, stop." And anyway, it came to me, I was like, "Do you still have that dress?" And you better still have that dress.
I do. I'm gonna have to try and put it on. It probably doesn't fit me, obviously, but we don't have to photograph it from the back of Instagram. That's wild. The mask. So, guys, this was in 1998. The mask was the epitome of formal wear in this funny arcade boutique part of the Queen Street Mall. I think you had some designers in there like Daniel Lightfoot and stuff like that. Everyone loved the mask. And I remember saying to mum, I want to get my formal dress from the mask. We went in there. I remember I tried on, I don't know if you remember, this is so funny because we're talking about brown. The first dress I tried on was like this long, it had a train and like a sleeveless sort of top, and it was a chocolate brown, very satin, very similar color to what you're wearing right now. And mum wanted me to
Yes.
buy that one because the tone of the brown on my skin with my hair looked really good. And I liked it too. But when we tried on the Black Mermaid, or as they say in America, a fit and flare, and it was a strapless black thing, we all loved that. Oh my God, Sophie, it's coming back to me. I love that you remember these things. You were there, my darling.
I know, but I forget these things myself, and it was just when I saw it, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," and I'm really hoping that my formal dress is somewhere that
Yeah,
I've, put it in a safe place and that I can't because I even
totally.
to my formal, I wore these stupidly high shoes because I wanted, like, my Scarlett O'Hara moment. I know that's not okay to say anymore, but I actually bought the skirt in a bigger size so it was longer, but I wanted it more full. So I ended up buying, like, these platform on platform shoes, and I kept them, I was like, for my future daughter
Oh,
until, like, they ended up getting mold on them, like, through moisture, and I had to throw them away. So I'm like, I even kept the stupid shoes, and I'm like, "Where is my dress?" So then I was like, "You know what I care more about is your dress. Tell me you have your dress."
no, I care
So
about your dress, and you will have it somewhere. I swear to God, you will have it in a safe place. There's no way you would throw that out in a cleaning unless you didn't know what was in a box and you just threw the box. But you would check. So we will find it. You have to find it, and when you do, then we'll try and put them on and take a photo and see if we can show everyone. I always remember thinking I loved the deep, like almost the color of our branding, that raspberry deep blood red of your dress. I thought it was so beautiful. I thought the two-piece and the halter of it was really edgy, and I remember you had, like did you have, like, that twisty hair that was in at the time?
yeah, we're gonna have a whole 'nother episode about that because of what I did as an undiagnosed ADHD person with, like, comorbidity anxiety, my poor mum, and what I did when I got home from the hair like, I made it a mess as I did with every big event because I
Oh,
didn't understand what my anxiety meant.
and the feelings.
Um
Oh, huh.
big feelings, and I didn't know where to put them.
No.
So, but yes, I okay, so that's one thing that was just I was dying to ask you about that this week, and then my second distraction was just very self-indulgent, is the reviews.
Oh,
So we have
yeah.
gotten some really beautiful reviews for our first 2 episodes last week, and I know I messaged you and I said, in the yogic world, equanimity is highly regarded, like, to not be influenced by either compliments or criticisms. Like, I try to embody that, but I read them and I was so happy.
It's okay to
Um
feel joy too. Here's what I think. I'm gonna reinterpret that yogi principle that equanimity is, of course, the goal. You must always be like still on the inside and unaffected because as they say if you believe the good reviews then you have to believe the bad reviews, but I don't believe that personally. The Jessica rule is as long as you're not inflating your ego either way or allowing your sense of self to be ultimately changed, take the joy from positive reviews. I read my book reviews on Goodreads. Every author says you must never read your reviews. Da 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 da. Same reason. No, bugger that. I read the bad ones. That's fine. I just assume they're wrong. I read the good ones. I'm like, oh, yes, I found my people. Compliments make me really happy. And so when you sent me the couple of reviews that people had taken the time to write down, and also we've had our, beloved ones give us lovely feedback. But it's just so affirming and joy giving. And thank you, everyone. We absolutely have loved it. So, Sophie, I completely understand. I've been distracted by that too.
I loved it, I loved it, and, from a we are so open to constructive criticism, as well, but, please like, subscribe, hit 5 stars, leave us a review because
Yay.
you're just making us so happy.
I
Thank you.
know, and why wouldn't you wanna make us happy? We like to make you happy.
Exactly, exactly. Make us happy.
Was that the
Um,
guilt trip? Probably.
okay, so what is it? Bring this into park. I don't know what to say. We'll go do our recommendations, like Captain Sandy, who, by the way, had never once in her career ever hit anything with her boat, and she did on the first episode of this.
Okay, but that's okay, it
Why?
was bound to happen. If you set
Nathan.
that up as an expectation, you're never gonna hit anything with your boat. You're gonna
Yeah,
bump into something.
yes, and it was fun. It was fun. Okay, so recommendations this week. Why don't you go first?
My recommendation is a movie at which so and the preface to that is because, like with you, Sophie, I can't do a long story short. But basically, like I love film. I used to work in a video store for 7 years. It was one of my favorite ever jobs. It was the time of my life. I will probably talk about it a lot. God damn it. But the point was I love film. And I was a little movie reviewer for a time there as well, in a publication in Brisbane called Time Off, and that was super fun. Now, it's hard to find a really good movie, partly because I'm becoming old like my parents, and I'm like, they don't make them like they used to, but also because of Netflix streaming, binging, and scrolling. Is that a lot of movies now are made that you can follow them while you're scrolling on your second screen, and that's depressing to me. Also, what it means is a lot of movies don't have like a traditional three-act structure where I'm really invested in what's happening, the characters, the plot, etc. So, my recommendation is a movie called Twinless. I can't remember what streaming service it's on. I'll try and find out. Might be Prime, might be Stan. Charlie found it, and it is absolutely brilliant. It's an independent film, but it has really good actors in it. It has the guy from his little Swifty reference for you, Sophie.
Oh,
The 10-minute film clip that Taylor did called All Too Well. And she had that actor in it that was like old
Sadie,
to her, and he was meant to be like a version of Jake Gyllenhaal sort of thing.
yeah, because it was Sadie, whatever from Stranger Things was the girl, and okay, so this was the dude.
So this was the dude. Now he's been in a couple of really great films, and he's in this film, Twinless. He is a twin whose identical twin brother has died. Um,
Oh,
and he is going to a support group for twins who've lost their twin. And he meets another twin at this support group that has lost his twin, and they form a friendship. That's all I need to say because there's a couple of massive rug pulling moments in this movie where I legitimately went, like, but it's also beautiful. It's really beautifully written, acted. I loved every second of it. I did not look at my phone once. So look up Twinless, you guys, and give that a go.
and is it rated like, could you watch it with the family, or what are we thinking in terms of
I think you could watch it with kids who are like 14 and up if you're okay with seeing sex on screen, which I
okay,
am.
that's good. Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't have kids, so I don't know how people do that. But any sex on screen can be really awkward when your parents are there.
Yeah, I really thought I was controlling what our girls were watching, but then, yeah, Haley's often recommending things to me, and I was like, "Where would you watch that?" But
Terrible.
anyway,
Terrible.
thank you for that recommendation. I'm almost, I feel like, recommending the opposite because I struggle to watch movies because I don't like movies, but the reason I don't like movies is because I don't like meeting something new. It gives me anxiety. So if
Yeah.
I've read the book, I will watch the movie, right? Or if I had watched the movie, then maybe I would read the book. But it's the reason that I love big, long series of things because I don't want to have to meet anyone new and I don't want to have to say goodbye to anybody. I don't like it. And so I was like, oh, what can I recommend? And so I wanted to come back to this Red Rising series, which I was listening to when I was in Tassie with you guys at Christmas, and I can't stop thinking about it. So I did not think I was like a dystopian fantasy type person until really recently. And it started with like that fourth wing thing that everybody was into. I'm not really into the romanticy of it. I've learned like I like those books, but that's not what keeps me. But I've definitely gone down like the Akatar, Sarah J. Maas, all of it. But this series is a standout. So it's like a dystopian fantasy, could be young adult series, and it's two sets of trilogies called the Red Rising series. So if you like long, and see, I do audiobooks for almost everything because I don't like cooking dinner. I don't like all the things. So I just like pop a podcast in to help me get through my
Yeah.
job.
Yeah.
Um, and so, which by the way, having a great narrator is so critical for an audiobook which is why The Farm, your book, that was one of the first things I was like, that woman who narrated The Farm was so good, and the way she did some of the characters, I'm like, "How did you get her?" And, but it doesn't like, I don't know as an author if that's something you're really thinking about,
It
but
is. Well, you think about not while you're writing, but I don't know if everyone gets to do this, but I get to choose my actor that will do the narration. So they'll send me auditions, and
oh,
I that woman was particularly good. I needed someone with like a deep voice for Layla. I just because she was such a silent, body of water that ran so deep, it couldn't be someone too young sounding. But whereas with my new book, I actually did a couple of round of auditions because there's some really critical scenes. I wanted to see how they would handle them. And also these poor voice actors, they're all so talented. They're all actual actors that work in Australia and then do audiobooks as well. And there's all these different accents in my new book, like a Finnish accent, British accent, German accent. I'm like, I'm so sorry, voice actors, you have to somehow master a Finnish accent.
but they can do it. I often then find myself Googling the voice actor because 'cause I'm like, "Who are you and where are you from?" Because if I hear like a twinge of Australian or something, like, I'm fascinated by it.
Yeah.
I'm excited then for the new one as well because I think the voice actor for The Farm, I loved how she did. I think I wrote you a message when I listened to it. I loved how she did, was it Charlotte and is it Lucy or like the
Charlotte
rich
and
farm
Emma, yes.
Charlotte and Emma. Oh, darling. Like, with their like,
Their
Tiffany and
fun
Co's dog
chain.
love.
Yeah.
Like, anyway. So, I recommend this. It's a bit like, I would say it has, like, bites of, like, Harry Potter, Hunger Games, like, all of these things. I can't. So, if you like this genre and you're into long series, give Red Rising. Obviously, I didn't read it. I listened to it, but the voice actor is also amazing. So, that is my recommendation.
Do you know, I think it's so fascinating too that you say that movies are hard for you because you don't wanna have to learn to get to know some new people and care about them, and then you're saying goodbye to them. I actually really relate to that. I find it so hard. And I used to find this hard with books when I was a kid, is like when a book would finish, I would feel really devastatingly sad. Or like when the OC was on, okay, so if you remember this,
Oh,
because this was another thing that Sophie and I in our 20s discovered we both separately had loved and then found out years later. I don't know what is wrong with us. We should just share stuff. Well, we are now. We're sharing stuff
yeah.
immediately.
Now we are.
But when they killed Marissa on the OC and played Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, I think I was sad for like weeks. I felt so flat. And I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
part of
flat.
our brains, if we're like, are we overly empathetic that we feel that these people are real and I don't want to say goodbye to them? I hate saying goodbye to people I love.
Me
I
too.
know.
I mean, who wants to? But I think it's that level of investment, and
Mm.
we must just really invest because um, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Maybe there's a psychologist listening that can let us know.
I know.
On that note, thank you for tuning into our second proper episode,
Thank
but our
you.
third overall. It was so fun talking to you today, Jessie.
You too, as always.
And next week,
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. And hopefully we'll be talking to you next week. Bye.
bye.
This podcast was recorded on the lands of the Turrbal, Yagara, and Lutruwita peoples. We pay respect to their elders past and present.